Chris Doyle, who's the Director of the Council for Arab-British Understanding. He joins us from London. Good to have you back with us, Chris. It seems right now we can expect some sort of a global trade war, if not involving all of the US's trading partners, at least several of them. Explain to us, in your view, what is Trump's end goal here? Is it simply about the bottom line?
I very much doubt it. It seems every time that Donald Trump gets in front of a camera nowadays, he contributes to what his former chief of staff called flooding the zone. That there's another announcement that has everybody in a nervous panic, whether it's about Gaza, and today and yesterday it's all about tariffs. And as your reporter very rightly said, it's a negotiating ploy. It's a form of bullying and intimidation of other countries. If you look at those countries likely to be most affected by these tariffs, and we don't know all the details as yet, Canada and Mexico and South Korea, these are all allies of the United States. They're all countries that you would hope that the US would want to be friendly to. But Donald Trump doesn't think like that. He thinks purely in terms of a narrow view of the United States and the world. Here's the US. He doesn't see things in terms of allies at all. So I think what we're seeing here is him laying out the terms and conditions of his dealings with other countries, that he is going to impose tariffs, tough, and if they impose retaliatory tariffs, so be it. And he is going to push his own course. It's not going to be done by negotiation first. He will do this and then perhaps might allow some negotiation afterwards, to try to tweak it. And we've seen that already, with Canada and Mexico. So he is like a bull in a china shop, and nobody really quite knows where it all comes down. To what extent we will see in 6 months a full-scale trade war with tariffs all over the place, or whether this is just a few opening moves that will be backed up by some serious deals down the line that won't be as aggressive as they might appear to be right now.
We know the EU, for its part, is threatening a range of retaliatory tariffs if Trump goes ahead with these penalties on steel and aluminium. In terms of a global trade war and the resulting retaliatory tariffs, we know that that invariably puts pressure on prices back home in the United States for Donald Trump's constituents. And we know to a large degree he won a second term in office because of his promise to bring down inflation in the US. But this could really seriously threaten that plan, couldn't it? It could backfire on Trump in terms of easing the cost of living for Americans as he had promised.
Whilst he's trying to protect those jobs in the steel sector in the Rust Belt, from where he has tried to get a lot of support in terms of voter share, of course, this issue of inflation is very much present, and it's a different set of economic circumstances to when he was in office in his first term. And indeed, you found many other countries have prepared themselves now, particularly China, for an administration like Trump's, which imposes such tariffs. So for certain, this will be another inflationary pressure. It will be one that many in the United States will be very fearful about. What certainly won't ease their economic concerns whatsoever. And of course, it won't in those countries that feel the pinch as a result of these tariffs. It's really hard to see who comes out on top of all of this, so who actually really in the end benefits. That it would have been far more sensible, of course, the diplomatic approach would have been to open talks about how the United States could engage in trade with countries like Canada and Mexico. I think one also has to put underneath this, of course, you have to also look at what Donald Trump has been saying about Canada as well. I mean, bearing in mind that Canada is likely to be the country most impacted by this, considering that it is the largest exporter of steel to the United States. This is a country that Donald Trump has openly said should be the 51st state of the United States. He has repeated this ambition. So by putting pressure on Canada, he is also saying to the Canadians, there is actually a way out of not having these tariffs. You can actually join the United States. I mean, it seems far-fetched, it seems extraordinary, but to what extent is that behind all of this as well? Does that inform the way in which Donald Trump is thinking right now?
Okay, Chris Doyle, we'll have to leave it there. Thanks so much as always for joining us on the program.